Now comes the fun part. I just spent a night in a hotel here in BowlingGreen, Kentucky. Tonight at 7 o'clock, I'm going to a game here in BowlingGreen, Kentucky. But checkout here at the hotel is 11 a.m. So I have to find something to do that's interesting during that 8-hour period. And BowlingGreen's not a big city. In fact, I wouldn't even call it a city. I call it a town. Well, I found one place to go. The National Train and Rail Park Museum. You can see some trains back in here. Trains are always fun. And they got the museum in that building right there. Let's go check it out. Not quite sure what that is, but I figured I'd film it anyhow. We have a rather neat-looking model train exhibit in here. So we not only have the trains, but we have the model trains.
So this is like a layout of... This is where this area used to look up until the mid-60s. Like I told him, you push the bottom door rail, the ones underneath, the whole gauge down there underneath run. They make a lot of noise. Push the wall.
Oop. Guess that's the brains of it right there.
Okay, these are white lights. Found it. And they come on strip like that. I don't know why they glue it on there. They just put them right off the hook. It's glued on, it's like you got to cut around with it.
Oh, there comes the train.
It's a little hard. It's a little hard.
I like the ones that have mountains like this where you have tunnels. Train goes in one tunnel on one side and comes out another tunnel on the other. This is pretty extensive.
Huh? I'm not working here.
There we got a train coming in the other side there.
I got some, like a fault out of the hill table. I'll put him down here somewhere in all this mess. I'll probably put him on top of this.
Okay, now we're in the mountain. Let's see what comes out the other end now.
I thought about maybe putting turkey too. I don't think so.
They're around here all the way. I wish I had the money to do something like this. I have the time, but this takes years and years and years of investing. If I would have started something like this when I was 8, I'm 53 now, I probably would have had it down, but I didn't. They also have a lower level of trains there too. This one's just going round and round the circle. Oh, there it goes. This is the one I like. I like this display.
What year cars are these?
So,
I'll tell you each one. You know what? I forgot
so this
to
is an
grab my
actual
keys.
depot then.
This was an actual working depot. Hang on just a minute. I have to get my keys. We're not
You just say
going.
from Alabama? Did you say it was from Alabama?
Yeah.
In that Starling part?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, just missed us. 5
Yeah.
minutes away, like house is gone.
Oh, boy.
Yeah, it's
And we watched Storm.
Now we can get into the car.
Going on to the mail car first.
I never asked him, I was a kid, he was an older guy, we were next door there, did he separate by town?
I'm going to tell you how. Yeah, I'll fill you in on all of that good stuff. All right?
Didn't think anything about it at the time, it was just a
Well,
job, it was a job.
Right. Well, and it was, you know, at the time, this is the way it was done. You know, this is the way it was done. So. Okay, had a chance to kind of look through a little bit. I'll wait till the lady gets off the phone. I don't want to be talking over her. So. I hope you all had a chance to take a look at this very first picture up here, because it gives you an idea of how little room they had to move around in here. What you see is not the way it was. There was not this much room. As you can see here on the floor, that these tables, these few tables right here that you see, the sorting tables, these came all the way to the end here. And if you take these out and you pull these down, this is how far it would come out. So you can see you only had a small aisle to move in to do your job. And you had to sort up to 600 pieces of mail per hour. So these guys had to be fast, they had to be accurate. Now, right here, this area, these mail pouches are where they would put the first class mail. This is where they would put all the other mail, the newspapers and the magazines and the oversized items. This is where they sorted the second and the third class mail. These little boxes, these little doors lift up, and the floor is on a slant. So they would just lift up this door, pull the mail out, and you can see down here, there's a mail bag. They would hook a mail bag under each door, and then they would just pull the mail out, and it would go right down into the bag, slick as a whistle. And then behind you here, this is where all the first class mail was sorted. Now, after, right here, okay? And you can see there's like a hook, if you would not mind moving your foot, thank you. There is a hook on the end. So your postal worker is down here. The bags of mail that are going to be delivered are sitting here on the floor. So he comes over here, he opens this door, and he's looking down the track. Now down the track, there's going to be a pole. And on that pole is going to be one of these mail bags. And it's going to be hooked on to the pole. Not open like this. It would be folded in half and hooked. All right? So it's hanging out here on a hook. So your postal worker does this. He pulls up this with the hook, and simultaneously, I'm told, he would kick out the bags of outgoing mail at the same time, hooking that bag that's on the pole, bringing it in, throws it over here, and they start to sort. Now, best case scenario, those two bags, or however many bags there were to deliver, land about 10 feet away from the tracks. Didn't always work that way. Every once in a while, they would miscalculate, and it would go close enough to the rails that it would sometimes be sucked underneath the train, and then you have mail confetti. And you have a postal worker out here going, you know, like this, oh no. But most of the time it worked. They knew the velocity, how hard a kick it took, or how hard a throw, and 9 times out of 10, the mail was safely delivered. So that is how that was done, mail on the fly. Not something I would have wanted to do for bags at 50 to 70 miles per hour. But there was a 10-year period where there were over 6,000 accidents of trains that carried a post office
train
car
wrecks.
within a 10-year period between 1890 and 1900. And there were over 2,000 postal workers injured, and there were over 80 of the mail clerks that were actually killed in that 10-year period. On impact, your coal stove knocked over, and you have a fire immediately because you've got so much wood in these cars. So it could be a very dangerous job.
Did they do this both day and night, or light and dark?
They did this both day and night. It just depended on what run they were on. Now, as far as picking up mail, I am sure they didn't do it in the dead of night. But, well, I shouldn't say I'm sure. I really can't be sure of that. So maybe they did actually do it in the dead of night, too.
You know what town, if they had to be in a town that...
Well, they knew, and the postal service knew. They knew the train was coming through, or they're going to have the bag out there. So, this little dog was never taught to do this, but there was one day when a sack of mail fell off the back of the wagon, and the postal workers did not notice this. Oni did. Oni jumped off the wagon, and he stayed with that sack of mail until the postal workers realized both mail and Oni were gone, came back to find him, and he was guarding the sack of mail. Pretty soon, he started riding the mail cars on the trains. And so the postal workers, to make sure they did not lose him, they made a little identification tag and they put it on his collar so that everybody knew Oni belonged to Albany, New York Postal Service. Well, when Oni would stop at a new station, everybody, of course, thought it was just the cutest doggone thing, this cute little dog. So each station where he stopped, they would give him their own disc. So after a while, his collar was so full of these little discs, they had to make a special jacket for him to put all these discs on.
Wow.
He graduated from the rail cars. Actually, one time, they actually put him on the mail boat, and this little dog went around the world, and he picked up even more of these identification tags from all the places that he visited. Well, he ended up actually being shot in Toledo, Ohio, my state. I'm so ashamed. They actually shot him. He was killed. The postal workers they loved this little dog so much that they took a collection and they got enough money put together that they actually had him stuffed. So you will find Oni, if you go to the Smithsonian and you go to the Postal Service display, you will see Oni. He's sitting there on his own special display.
Is that him stuffed?
That's him stuffed. That's actually Oni stuffed. Yes.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's
See,
pretty good.
this is the Duncan Hines dining car. This car was built in 1953.
It's older than I am.
Shoot, I wish I could say that. Anyway.
50 style.
50's right, yes. It's The decor is definitely the 50s style. Okay, when you would come in here, you were coming into truly a fine dining experience. Truly fine dining. You would come in here and your tables would be set with white linen tablecloths, fine china, crystal glassware, real silverware, fresh flowers on your table, and you would have 6 waiters, one for every 2 tables, to get whatever you needed. And I have a new appreciation for what those waiters did. We had a volunteer appreciation breakfast in here at 8 o'clock this morning. And I was helping to serve our over 50 guests that were here. And I can't even imagine serving with this train hurtling down the tracks, because it was a trip this morning, getting all the stuff from the kitchens and making sure everybody got served and fed, and it was something. So I have a new appreciation for the waiters on this car. All right, they were all black during this time period. This, where we're sitting, well, you guys are sitting in first class. How'd you know to do that?
No,
You were in
just
first class.
it just comes natural.
Well, okay for you. All right. This is coach. First class here. The only difference is that when you bought first class tickets and you came in here for a meal, you got seated immediately. You did not have to wait. Coach, you might come for dinner and every table is filled and you might have to wait for the next seating. Other than that, there was no difference. The food was cooked from scratch. It has been compared to food that you would get in 3-star restaurants. I mean, really, absolutely wonderful food. You had 4 chefs in the 2 little kitchens, and also this morning there were like 6 of us back in there. I cannot imagine. But there were 4 cooks back there. Some of the railroad lines actually had their own cooking schools, but most of them you just learned from the others how to do things. Sometimes it took up to 12 years to learn to be a chef on these cars, because you had to cook whatever supplies you got at the beginning of your run. And a lot of it depended on where you were going. If you were on a run to Louisiana, most likely you would be fixing a lot of Cajun food. If you were on a run through the Midwest, chances are you were using a lot of Iowa-fed beef, fresh corn, and things like this. So they served whatever it was that was loaded on. They had to know how to cook it. So that's why it would take so long to train them to be chefs. It was a tough job. And sometimes they weren't treated very well by their customers. Sometimes they were treated very well by their customers, and they were tipped very well.
You were saying Duncan Hines.
Duncan Hines was a native son of BowlingGreen, Kentucky.
Okay.
He was a real true person. Actually, he was in the travel business. He didn't have anything to do with fixing food, but he did review restaurants, hotels, and things like that.
Right. Well, Duncan Hines makes
The cake mixes, right?
cake mix and stuff.
Right.
Plus now you also have like corporate naming of everything.
Right.
I mean, you go to like a baseball stadium, it's got a corporate name on it.
Well, that's because they gave the bucks for it.
Right, and that's why I was curious about whether Duncan Hines was
he was
involved in making the food, or whether he sold his name to have
He
it.
sold his name to Procter & Gamble. Procter & Gamble then began putting out the food, the baking, all that stuff.
Right.
He sold his name. He had nothing to do with the actual coming up with the recipes or anything like that. So,
I see.
okay? But he was a native son, and that's pretty cool. Anybody know why this lip, I'll bet you do, why the lip is on the table?
Keeps us from sliding.
Yeah, well,
Yeah.
You're moving. You're moving.
Yeah.
Yeah,
You'd be
absolutely.
rocking 'em.
Right, you'd be rocking and rolling. Yes, I know.
It's a wonder the lip isn't even taller than that.
I know, that's what I was thinking.
Yeah.
Too. I said, man, things could still stop and go over, but, what are you going to do? Okay.
Well, you'd have a tablecloth on.
I'm sorry?
You'd have a tablecloth on.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. And they hooked onto here. That's what these are for. These metal brackets. That's to hold your tablecloth on. Right. Yeah. Well, was there a tablecloth on it? Maybe you just didn't notice.
I probably just didn't notice.
Yeah, I wouldn't have noticed, but yeah.
And with the tablecloth.
Back in the, what year was that?
1985.
There where we lived, our
Uh-huh.
school band went to the Rose Bowl parade, and the teacher did not like playing, so she got a train to go from Effingham to Pasadena.
Oh, really?
We got on
We got on St. Louis.
So
We
the
got
whole
on St.
band,
Louis.
the
We
whole
got on-
band rode
The
the
whole
train?
band.
The whole band and all the parents that
It
went
was
with it, and we
the
got
largest
I think
train
that's
ever
cool.
assembled to go
the largest
St. Louis
Amtrak
to
train,
LA.
Really?
and we got a.
Largest
What a
train
wonderful
ever.
experience for
And it
those
was so
kids,
bad.
though.
Yeah, and we rode the train.
And you rode with
Our
them?
daughter was in band,
That is a neat thing.
and we had one of the largest bands in Illinois.
Oh, for heaven's
After we got the
260
train together,
students
other
out of
people tried to buy it
a
from
school of
them,
500.
but they just
train.
didn't do that anymore, you know.
Well, I think that's absolutely fabulous. What a wonderful memory for your kids. Well, we're...
This is the cold kitchen, and where the guys over there are is the hot kitchen. We're making cold food, hot food. She was talking about in the dining car. Look how small this entrance is. Wow.
Oh, how neat. On the left, they didn't have a door there. And it was a little bigger because men don't mind sharing that bathroom. The women's is on the right, a doorbell, and a lock.
Doorbell and a lock. Wow.
We want to privacy. So you can go in there and sit down, and I'll tell you a little bit more. Are you the head there? You're the caboose? Okay. All right.
Okay, nothing to look at in there.
I'm here too, but this was.
Very long. This is Coach. Your porter would come in here, fix up your beds when you were eating your meal in the evening. He would bring the one down from the top. The mattress for the one on the bottom was up there. He would fix up the two beds. The seats you're sitting on down here come together to make a bed. So you had one down and one up. There were curtains, so you didn't have to look at whoever was across the aisle from you all night long. So you did have some privacy. You'll see a table here. Your porter could bring in a table, whatever you need. Your porters were all black. They had a tough job. They had to put up with everything that was literally sometimes thrown at them. They could not complain. They would be fired. This was a prestigious job for a black man after the Civil War because he wore a uniform. It was a job with prestige, and he was paid a salary. But how they really made it was by getting tips. So they would do anything for you. And that was what they were here to do. They were literally to do your bidding. No matter what you wanted, your porter was to provide that service. You'll see little white buttons at the bottom of these skinny mirrors. Those are your porter buttons. Push it. Okay, try this one. There we go. Little doorbell sign. He'd know who was calling. He'd come and see what you wanted right away. Now the next section we're going to go through is first class. They had suites. And when you would close off that suite, you're going to see one that's completely open. That's two suites all open. The metal divider has not been pulled across. Once the divider was pulled across, you would each have a little bathroom. You'd have a sink with a vanity. You have a little closet. You have your toilet. And everything you need is there for you. So you could either, as a family, rent two suites, open it up so a family of four could all sleep together, or you could rent one suite and then that wall was put between the two and then somebody else would have the suite on the other side of you. But you had everything, all your conveniences right there. You did not have to share a bathroom with anybody. So that was one of the perks of the first class.
You said that the
I'm sorry?
That door they slide in the 8th, they opened it up at some point.
The door when
Say you had two suites and you had to open it when you wanted to go straight walk through it, right?
No. You mean in the suites that we're going to see coming in here? You'll see. Yeah, you'll see. Because there is one completely divided up. All right. Okay, so we're going to have. Let me go ahead.
you said that the porter would hear the bell and he'd come running.
Yes. When you
How would you know? How would you know which?
well, when you come around the corner, you will see there's a little seat that comes out of the wall that he could sit on if he got to sit down. If. And then you'll see a call board that he could see up above his head, and it would list the number, so he would know who it was that was calling him.
Ah, okay.
It's kind of like the bed came out of the seat.
Here's what the sleepers look like.
So this one would come down first, and then
They're on both sides of the aisle, and they're made from
instead of going this
these things and these things, just like she was describing.
For a train, it's probably a
They have sweets in here too.
Next section is business tables. They're called roomettes. Only one person can fit in there. And when your bed is set up at night, you lose access to your toilet, so you have to plan ahead.
First class sleeping areas. As she had mentioned earlier, when you set the bed up, you lose access to the bathroom, which is in that door right there. These are your business single areas.
The first time this car was restored was in 1942. And this was used as a hunting lodge, believe it or not. Somebody bought it, turned it into a hunting lodge. That's what, so it was dining room / conference room / extra bedroom if needed. 42.
Wow.
42. Yep, I know. I
42
didn't
for
think
air
it existed
conditioning.
in 1942. I had no idea about that, but that's what I was told. To get this car to us, all the rest of our cars have come by rail. This car could not come by rail because it has too much wood. It's a fire hazard. So a truck had to deliver this to us, believe it or not, because it's made of wood. So this cannot ride on the rails because of the fire laws. There's just too much wood.
This was Mr. Smith's bedroom. See his bureau?
There's a covered porch on this. We have not been able to find out whether or not this car was ever used for political figures where they would do the whistle stop tours. We don't think so. We think Mr. Smith, this was for his use and his use only. So we don't think it was used by any politicians. But it's the type of car that William McKinley or Lincoln or Garfield, any of them, could have gone out there and had a whistle stop tour and stop and give a speech and move on. So that's what this is that covered porch. So, and I've been told, somebody said, oh, wouldn't it be neat to sit out there, going down the tracks? And somebody who has actually done that said, trust me, you don't want to do that. Because the steam train especially, you get all that soot and everything. He said by the time he'd sat out there for half an hour and he came in, he said he was black.
What's the thing above a light or what is it?
That's a light. That's just a little security light up there. And another light here. So this stuff was added in 42 when it was first restored.
The old radio.
Yep.
Haven't seen one of them in years. And finally, the caboose. They also have a museum here, other than the rail cars we just saw. Seems that a lot of this is taken during the days of Abraham Lincoln. There he is. The guy they called Uncle Billy. This is his first paycheck, 28 cents. And he had to cash it so he could balance the books. Shows different types of L and N passenger trains here. You just touch the button. And okay, here's the diesel era Pan American, 1942, 1971. Hummingbird in Georgian, 1946 to 1969. Oh, I love the horn on that one. That's the Pan American, 1921 to 1942. Here's your first passenger train, 1859 to 1899. And it was just called the first L&N passenger train. Neat stuff. Got an old train light here. It's a newer one down there. Hummingbird. Pan American and the Seaboard System Railroad. Look what they serve the food on. Wow. Duncan Hines. Guess this is what they made them wear in those days, if you're a conductor.
The firemen hurried forward, uncoupling a section of the train. A sentinel with musket in hand stood not a dozen feet from the engine watching the whole proceeding. Our last hope was now staked upon an effort.
Now here's a film. This is what they were telling us on the train here. He hooked the mail on there. Here comes the train. This is when they couldn't stop in the city. Wow. I finished up the train museum, and I came down the street to the National Corvette Museum. Now this is kind of neat. If you own a Corvette, and you're coming to the Corvette Museum, you get to park up front. In other words, everybody's Corvette is parked in the same area, where us people without Corvettes park in the back. Now let's go in and see what it's like. It's one of the older Corvettes.
Born in Belgium and raised in Leningrad, Duntov had a rich and exciting life prior to joining General Motors. In the 50s, he was a chief engineer for the British race car works Allard. He competed at Le Mans for 4 years, winning his class in 1953 and 54 in a Porsche, and ran qualifying tests for the Indianapolis 500.
So they at least saw fit to put guitars in here. Well, now we're talking. Trophies. Production line. I'm guessing with the Colorado Avalanche jersey that one of their players was a Corvette enthusiast. Look at the size of that engine.
Inside the Panthers rally for the group of Chicago, Rick Anderson was not always a goaltender, but did show lots of potential.
It's a Corvette transmission there. Here's a Corvette V8 engine. Corvette gets into an accident. This is what it looks like. This is Mario Andretti. He's a Corvette enthusiast, a race car driver.
Society membership is just $35 per year. You can learn from our many years of research before you spend $75,000 for a vintage Corvette.
Get together. It's a people organization, just like Rob said. We're progressive. We're growing, just like.
Up here you have a lot of enthusiasts in their pictures of the Corvette. And then I'm going to walk around in a couple minutes. And they got little placards in front of all these Corvettes, and I can probably let you know what years they are. Do that in a few minutes. Now that I've actually been reading these things, this is the Corvette Hall of Fame. Like here it shows Carl Renner, GM Chevrolet, inducted 2007. So you got pictures of these people that are in the Corvette Hall of Fame. Here's a 1977. This one here is a 1992. This is a 1980. 1971. 1981. 1987. This is another 1992. This is a 1989 ZR7. It's a 1995. 1983. It's a 1989. It's a 1965. And back then it was sold for $538. And this one here is a 1995. This one here is a 2008. This one here is a 1998. 1995. This is my favorite so far, 1986, and the 1978. This one here is a 1980. I'm not sure what year this one is, there's no sign there. This is a 1953. Here's that same 53 from the front. Here's 2009. Answer to my question, these are 1968s. So 1986, I guess taxi cab yellow was a popular color in that year. And I also noticed in the Hall of Fame, Betty Skelton is the only female on this wall. She was inducted in 2001, and she was in racing. Got a display case here with a lot of models in it. I have no clue what this is. The final room has all the muscle cars in it, whether they were Corvettes or not. Remember that? So I love the colors they used in those days. Is
that you or me?
It's old GTO. We used to call them goats back in the day. Some old Chevys here. Old Mercury. Some Camaros back here. I think this one here is the old Dodge Charger. That was a cool car. There you have it. Brings us to the end of the tour. Hope you enjoyed it. My third stop of the day. I am now at BowlingGreen Ballpark to see the BowlingGreen Hot Rods play baseball. One more stop along the way of baseball stadiums. And this is the third one on this trip that's brand new to me that I haven't seen yet. It's a pretty cool ballpark. It looks a little like Greensboro from the outside. Of course, you have a newspaper for the town right across the street, so I guess when the game lets out, they get the result real early. Ballpark here. Teams that we're seeing playing tonight: BowlingGreen Hot Rods against the Great Lake Loons. BowlingGreen Hot Rods are right here in Bowling Green, Kentucky. The Great Lake Loons are in the Great Lakes up in Michigan. prices are cheap. I saw $1.50 soda earlier. That's cheap. I just found out that this blue building over here is going to be the Fine Arts building, and the brick building was a church. And because of its age, it's declared one of those type of buildings you can't tear down because it's a historical site. Third, so he gets base hit. Hopefully that guy will score. Runners in the corners. Full count. The fans really getting into it here. Some stadiums the fans are dead, and other ones they're into everything. Ball four, bases loaded.
Next up for the hot rods, right fielder, number 5, Cody Rogers.
For this wedding, and I think it's a girl, and I think she's trying to do the announcing the same way as the regular announcer does it. You know, pronunciation of the names and all that. Square down to 3-0-0. Okay. I'm going to be leaving at the end of this inning because I have to make another trip, 100-mile trip tonight down to Murfreesboro, Tennessee. This game's going along pretty fast. We're in the bottom of the 8th. And that run you just saw across the plate made the score BowlingGreen 2 and Great Lakes nothing. BowlingGreen got 1 in the bottom of the 7th and 1 so far in the bottom of the 8th. So it's 2-0 Hot Rods right now. And it's turned out to be a pretty good game. 0-0 until the 7th. And then Hot Rods got a run on catcher's interference with the bases loaded. And then the one you just saw there. That'll be it for BowlingGreen. Next city on the agenda, Murfreesboro, Tennessee, and Nashville, Tennessee.